After releasing the fabulous album The Devil in Me in 2021, now two generations of rock icons join forces on Face to Face, the new creative collaboration between Suzi Quatro and KT Tunstall, due out on August the 11th via Sun Records. The 10-track album's first track, Shine a Light, is the first single to be released. And Suzi Quatro joins me now. How are you doing, Suzi?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm very good. Thank you very much. Thanks very much for asking. Now, for listeners who are just discovering your music, because everybody is buying music from all over the decades, could you tell us when you started writing and performing music?
God, okay. I've now been doing this for 59 years. I started at the age of 14, joined my first band with two of my sisters, all-girl band. And even though I already played bongos, percussion, and classical piano, I picked up the bass, and that was it for the rest of my life. At 21, I came here by the invitation of Mickey Most, who offered me a solo contract. And by 23, I had my first number one. Yo.
Wow, it's absolutely amazing. And I did actually hear that Mickey Most, the then owner of Rack Records, as you mentioned, came to a concert and spotted you and offered you a solo contract. What was it like getting that offer and recording at the iconic studios with him?
It was so strange because I was in the bands for 9 years.
Yes.
And in the second wave of the band, they put me a little bit in the back. Instead of being the totally upfront person, we brought my little sister in to change the dynamics a bit, and I went back. So in that 18 months, I became a really good bass player. But Mickey saw me do just 2 songs.
Wow.
And he picked me out from the whole night. He went, come here. That same week, Elektra Records had seen the band.
Yes.
And the boss of that also picked me out, asked me to go solo. So Mickey was the second offer in 1 week.
Wow.
Now, Jack wanted to make me into the next Janis Joplin. Mickey Most said to me, come to England, I'll make you into the first Suzi Quatro.
Wow.
That's a no-brainer. That is a no-brainer. So Mickey saw me.
Yes, know? And was that did you come over to London to record in 1971?
Yeah, I landed here October 31st, 1971. I was supposed to be here for 3 months. It's now July 2023. Something went wrong in the plan.
You must love it.
I do. I put down roots here, both. I was married to my ex, my guitar player. We had 2 kids, granddaughter. So you kind of, you put down your roots,
You do. In the 70s, what was it like appearing on Top of the Pops? As it looked like it was a bit of a great party atmosphere.
It was fun. But it was a long day. You'd get there for like 10 o'clock rehearsal, and you didn't go on to the evening just for your 3 minutes. It's best if you were number one, because then you got called in for the afternoon camera rehearsal, which was much nicer. But it was fun. Everybody met up in the bar, and we all know each other for years now. We're all good friends from that era.
Indeed, and I mean the BBC bar, I bet you got lots of connections there, because I've visited there many years ago. I've heard apparently that it's still there, the bar, with the nice view and such like. So did you find any connections there?
Well, I just knew everybody there. You get to know all the bands. You play with them all the time. And these are people who have, when you run into people, it's like you've known them forever. I made a lot of friends in those days. I made an album with Andy Scott and Don Powell. Andy Scott from Sweet, Don Powell from Slade, called Quatro, Scott and Powell.
Right.
And that charted, that got to number 16 in Australia. That was 2017.
Right.
I'm good friends with everybody.
Amazing. It sounds like you had a ball. What was your most memorable moment on Top of the Pops, if you could tell us?
I think it would have been the first one I did, because the single went in as a, what did they used to call it? Tip for the top.
Yes.
And Mickey, for some reason, wasn't in town on that particular day, and he called me from America.
Right.
He gave me all his chains to wear and his bass guitar and my leather suit on. I'm about to do my first ever television appearance with Can the Can. And he called me and he said, Miss Quatro, Miss Suzi Quatro, always called me Miss Suzi Quatro.
Yeah.
I need a performance from you tonight.
Right.
I need a performance. And I did exactly that. I did everything but stand on my head and spit wooden nickels.
Ian, and it looked fantastic as well. Was that the time when, because I've seen like replays on BBC4 and such like, is that when they had like the red and blue kind of scenery with like on a reflective wall of
I can't remember what they had then. All I know is the only thing I remember about that is they had the monitors.
Yes.
Right above your head.
Right.
So
yes.
You'd look at it, and Mickey would say to me, "Don't look at the monitor." So you
no,
you can't help it. You know, there you are. You know.
I mean, some people that go on top of the pops, they actually then, I think they ended up putting the monitors on the floor, so you would see people going like, you know, while they're singing, they're like checking themselves out.
So stupid. I tried not to look. And I was one of the rare artists that actually sang loud.
Yes.
And a lot of people used to say to me, "Why are you going so nuts on the camera rehearsal?" And I said, "Because, my friend, the cameras will know what you're going to do on the show and they will shoot you."
Of course.
And
of course.
No good doing all this and the camera's over on the guitar player, you know, so.
Yeah. I mean, it looked fantastic. And like I say, you were having a ball there. And obviously now we've got, you know, they're replaying it on BBC for all of these shows. So there's lots of people discovering artists, you know, who are like, you know, quite young, and they're discovering all these artists. And now they're finding inspiration in order to do like collaborations and such like.
Yeah, that's correct. And this one came out of the blue.
Yes.
This collaboration. I was watching unedited version of my documentary Suzi Q, which came out in 2019.
Right.
And all of a sudden KT was on it. And I went, oh, because I was a fan. I didn't know she was a fan of mine. So we had a mutual friend who said, who did all the footage for the video. If you haven't seen it yet, it's a fantastic video. Yeah. Have you seen it yet? You must watch it.
I'll have to watch it.
He said, it's just, everybody says it nailed the song. He said, would you like me to put you two together? So I said, sure. So he got in touch with her. She got in touch with me. We met up for lunch in London. And all of a sudden, we're sitting on my carpet and we're writing songs. And it was just so natural.
Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. We're going to pick up from that note a little bit later on, but I'm going to ask you a question which probably everybody asks you about this, and it is, what was it like playing LR Tuscadero, the little sister of Fonzie's ex-girlfriend, Pinky, in Happy Days?
It was a fantastic experience of my life. I took the decision to go and audition for the part. I made some good friends on there. It's my first ever acting, so I was green, but Ronnie Howard told me I never, ever looked like a new actress. He said, you just fit in perfectly. I'm best friends with him. I'm very, very good friends with Henry still. It was a really, really good time of my life. I treasure my memories on that show. To be part of that iconic TV show, that's special.
And I think when they repeated it on Channel 4, that's when, like myself, I'll have seen it on there, and it was like, oh, I've got to put Happy Days on. And it would be on like a Saturday morning, I think it was on, as far as I remember. And it was amazing.
Yeah, what a great show. And it did my career a lot of good. I had a second life, you know, get fresh air. Yeah. So I really thoroughly enjoyed it, I must say.
And what was it like working with the cast?
Great people. Ronnie was always very helpful, because I made a little speech to the whole cast before I went on to do my first show, because I knew that they knew that I was having hits everywhere, and they're probably thinking, who does she think she is? She comes in like an act, you know, so I made a little speech and I said, listen, I know you guys know my history. You know that I've had lots of hits everywhere, 3 years worth now, 4 years actually. And okay, so I might know what I'm doing in that respect, but I am openly admitting I've never done acting before. So if you could give me your assistance, I would appreciate it. And that did the trick.
Amazing.
Ronnie was doing this. Henry was giving me little tips. You know, the director loved me. So you don't go out there like a big star. You don't do that.
No, and it's great that you actually were able to go out there and have the confidence to say, you know, I'm here. I'm not here as like the rock star. I'm here as an actress,
Sure.
you know, an actor. And you know, here I am. And and I bet you didn't need much advice because it looked fantastic. It looked quite natural.
That's I said to Ronnie years later, because we email all the time, and I was picking his brain. I said, first of all, did I ever look like a new actress? He said no. And the second question was, did I ever look like I was new to the show? And he said, no. You were seamlessly, it's like you were always there. Then he said to me, never take an acting lesson. And I went, why? He said, because it would ruin what you have.
Exactly. I think it's the same as like
a compliment. That's a compliment. Yeah,
definitely it is. It is. And I would say that it's like when people who are like natural singers, sometimes people will say, well, why do you go and do singing lessons and things? But that can ruin things as well, can't it?
It can do. I mean, you know, you need a certain amount of training, but I guess I've kind of been doing that kind of stuff all my life. I've been doing family shows since I've been a little girl. So I always did know I could act.
Yes.
I did that. Yeah. Because it's the same approach. It's entertaining and communicating an emotion, whether you're singing it, speaking it, whatever you're doing, it's the same approach.
Of course. Now, were there any funny moments on Happy Days that you could tell us about?
Oh, God, loads. The one that stands out is my first ever two-part episode, the first time, and there's a live studio audience. You know, I was a little bit nervous. So Henry came back. I was backstage waiting to go out into Arnold's, my entrant, as led the Tuscadero.
Yes.
And he came back to me, and I'm like this, you know, a little bit like that. He says, "You ready?" I said, "Yeah, I'm a little bit scared." He said, "You're going to be great, Suzi. You're going to go. You're on." So I walked out. And I sauntered out and I did my leather Tuscadero walk. I'm thinking I'm doing good here. Yeah. Got to my mark where I should have said my first line.
Yes.
In front of an audience. And the director said, "Excuse me, Miss Quatro. What are you doing out here?"
Right.
I said, "That was my cue." He said, "No, you have another page." I went, "Fine."
No.
And Henry was on the floor.
I bet.
And he said to me, "Now, nothing more can go wrong. Go enjoy yourself." And I came out to huge
applause. Yes. See, it was meant to happen.
No, I thanked him for doing that. That was actually quite a good idea.
Yeah, it was meant to happen, that definitely, because it worked in your favor, which is excellent. But yes, Happy Days, great memories, absolutely fantastic. And they should bring that on DVD, I think, because I think I'd like a copy of that in any case. Now back to the music, and it's been, can you believe this? And I've just looked this up today, would you believe, before you're coming on, having you on the show today. Can you believe that it's now been 50 years since Can the Can was at #1 in the UK?
Yes.
What was it like having your first #1 in the charts and then following it up with the fantastic but a Devagate Drive?
Yeah, that's great. You never get over your first one. That's the excitement. You know, you get the phone call, you're #1, you nearly die. I've enjoyed every single hit record I've had. I love doing them on stage. I just want to tell you that we are celebrating 50 years of #1.
Yes.
I got to mention this or I get shot at sunrise. November, 5 big gigs in the UK and Wales. The 12th is in Cardiff, St. David's Hall. 13th, the Brighton Dome. 15th, London Palladium.
Wow.
15th, Wolverhampton, the halls at the Civic, and 18th, Manchester Bridgewater Hall. That's to celebrate Can the Can's 50th year of being #1.
Absolutely amazing. And are you having a big party?
Well, but we're doing the gigs. That's the party.
You will be at the London Palladium. I'm sorry, the London Palladium. That'll be absolutely glittering, that.
Yeah, that'll be great. Speak to the team if you want to get in. They'll handle it for you.
Oh, I'd love to come along. Yes, I'm happy to pay the train fare to come down and see the show, especially to see you, Suzi, there doing your bit with your bass guitar and that wonderful vocal and everything. So it'll be a fantastic success. I know that. And yes, I just couldn't believe it. I was going, am I reading things right? Can the Can, 50 years, unbelievable. And it still sounds amazing on the radio as well.
Yeah, that, it was exciting, wasn't it?
Yes.
I remember putting that song down, and I came up with everybody in the band put their bit in. I came up with that nice little bass riff. I did that nice little bass solo in the middle section. It just wasn't done. Yes. And I remember this Mike said, we need something here. And I went, He said, that's it.
And it went down very well. It went down very well.
Yeah.
Now we're going to go bang up to date, and your new album, Face to Face, is, like we mentioned earlier, a new collaboration with KT Tunstall, and is out in August. And how did this project come about? I know you mentioned that you saw on one of the documentaries about yourself, but was it kind of a chance meeting?
Kind of a chance meeting, but I say that nothing happens by accident. And I think we were supposed to meet because she was a fan for a long time. I did not know. And I used to mention to people, do you like anybody now or today? And I say, yeah, I like that KT Tunstall. So we had something in common. Yes. We are cut from the same cloth. Yes. She edges towards folk. I'm rock and roll, but there's something similar about us. And everybody has commented on the blends of our voices. We had no idea that was going to be like that. We just decided after a meeting, we were going to write a track together, which actually turned into an album. And the album is full of personal, well, it's all powerful. It's our personal journeys. We exposed ourselves to each other, basically.
Of course.
We opened up, we talked and we opened up, and just a great song came out of every conversation we had.
And did you find it easy writing together?
It was the most natural thing in the world.
Amazing.
I actually said to her on the first session, I did a line and she came back with another line, and I said, oh, what a relief. She said, what? I said, usually when I write with somebody else, I have to wait for them to catch up. And she said, not with me.
Hey.
So we both think quickly.
Yes.
And this is good. And we're on the same track all the time, which is great. Excellent.
It's nice when there's all of the... What I've found recently is that things always happen for a reason. It's like me speaking to yourself now. It's like, this is something that has been like, I've like kind of known you all my life as far as, on Top of the Pops or whatever, and playing your music on the radio and such like. And then it's like, oh, I'm speaking to Suzi Quatro in 2023. It's like, what's going on there?
Everything does happen for a reason, and everything happens as it should and when it should.
Yes. It's a perfect fit that you have there with KT Tunstall. And the single, Shine a Light, is a fabulous first single from the album. And you mentioned that you've kind of exposed your personal stories with each other. And I've heard the record, and it mentions lyrics that opportunity knocked and you chose to let it in. And with that,
that's my favorite line in the song.
Yeah. And is it because, and also it mentions about being still down to earth. Is it because you are both still down to earth?
That's what we talked about. We had a long discussion about this subject, and it turned into this song. And I said a couple things. I said, isn't it funny with fame? We were talking about fame. Yes. I said, it doesn't change you. It changes everybody around you.
Yes.
You're different. And we're both, I'm the same. She's the same. And then I talked about, you get these people saying, oh, I never had the chance. Yes. Opportunity knocked on the door. I chose to let it in. And so all these lines are coming out, Yes. And I'm always saying I had to fight to win. I did have to fight. And like we talked about, there is a light in everybody, and you should all find your light. That's our message. Find your light.
Find your light. Definitely.
We all have one. And don't let anybody extinguish yours once it's on.
You've just got to keep on going, keep on fighting. And the song is so uplifting and certainly does shine. And I look forward to hearing the full album soon.
And then we'll talk again.
Yes, okay. I'd love that. Or I'll see you at the London Palladium, hopefully.
Excellent.
Fingers crossed. Okay. If I can bring my wife as well, that would be nice. Now I ask everyone on the show if they have a favorite vinyl record in their collection. If you have one, what is it and why?
Oh, it's a strange one. Nashville Skyline by Bob Dylan.
Right. Okay. I'll have to have a listen to that one.
It's
quite mellow.
Lady Lay is on there. I don't need to say anything.
Oh, yes. No, yes, yeah. Lady Lay. Oh. Oh, I love that tune. Yes, it is. even me just even singing it there gives us a little bit of a chill there.
Yeah.
Absolutely great. Well, it's been a pleasure, Suzi, chatting with you. And finally, could you introduce your latest single?
I'll put my best BBC Radio 2 DJ voice on. Okay.
Go for it.
There we go. Hi, this is Suzi Quatro. You're about to hear my new single with my good friend KT Tunstall. There's a message in there. Listen to it. Enjoy. It's called Shine a Light.
That's excellent, Suzi. Thank you so much for joining me on the show.
Okay, thanks.
Right. Look after yourself. Take care.
Too.
See you soon. Bye.